Yeah, the call of wild's always bringing me home. Call of wild's always bringing me home. Call of wild's always bringing me home.
Well, hello, wild ones. Welcome to another episode of the Find Your Wild podcast. I'm very excited to have Nicole Navarro here of Positive Beginnings. How are you doing today, Nicole?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm so excited to get to know you more and a little bit more about your charity that you have that helps foxes. So let me know let me know your beginning, how you first got into starting Positive Beginnings.
So, back in 2017, I was living in Key West, and that is when Hurricane Irma hit the Florida Keys as a very powerful Category 4 storm. During that time, I was actually working at the Hemingway home, and so it was very emotional, very, slightly
Yeah.
traumatic in a sense. I was one of 10 employees that stayed behind to
Wow.
care for the cats. So we actually lived in the museum for almost 2 weeks after the storm
Wow.
had passed. Um, but during that time, so a lot of people find this interesting, our huge county jail, our detention center here in Monroe County, is down in Key West, and it sits high off the ground for flooding purposes. And so during Hurricane Irma, all of the inmates were evacuated, but underneath the jail sits a animal farm
Oh,
for animals that have been abused, abandoned, confiscated, or donated. So once they end up at the jail farm, that is their forever home. So during Hurricane Irma, the woman that runs the animal farm brought all of the animals up into the jail to ride out the storm. So after the storm was over, I reached out to her and asked if she needed help cleaning up, because she was basically the only one there, because all the staff had to go with
wow.
the inmates, and she said yes. And so that was the beginning of what turned into an amazing friendship between her and I. And she allowed me to keep coming back to sort of help out and spend time with the animals. Um, Sort of back up, I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and I grew up on a large horse farm. So,
Oh, cool.
that sort of environment has always, been my happy place.
Yeah.
So even though we're in Key West at a jail at a farm, it still fits the description for what makes me happy. So
Yes.
um, so I kept going back week after week. Eventually, I moved back up to Key Largo, which is where we are now. But I would still go back and visit the animals. And in 2018, two foxes were surrendered to her. And, obviously growing up in Pennsylvania, you see foxes in the wild, but you never really get to experience that species up close.
Yeah.
So I just became totally fascinated with the foxes. And I would go and just sit with them. Foxes aren't very trusting. Uh,
Right.
initially it's like you have to earn their trust. So I would just go back week after week and sit in there with them. And then one day they decided I was an okay person. And it just really grew into this beautiful bond with these two
Oh,
animals, and it really ignited the passion that I have now, and the passion that I was likely missing from my life. um
oh, yeah.
and so for the next 2 years, so from 2018 when those foxes arrived to 2020, I would go and spend time with them whenever I could. But, behind the scenes, I was doing all sorts of research. What kind of permits does one need to have foxes?
Right.
Where does one acquire foxes? Because I'm obviously not going to buy them. I do not support the exotic pet trade in any way, shape, or form in that sense.
Right.
Um, and so I found out there's a few organizations that were already in existence in the US that can, legally obtain foxes from fur farms. Foxes They all don't come out perfect, from generations, 100 plus years of inbreeding and crossbreeding. You're going to have genetic defects, you're going to have injuries. So sometimes, on a very rare occasion, these fur farmers will surrender foxes that they would otherwise just discard because they aren't good enough.
Right. Right.
So in 2020, right at the start of COVID, I got a text saying, are you ready to start helping? Because this fur farmer is ready to, get rid of 20 foxes that are of no good to him.
Wow.
And yeah, it was, it happened, really fast. Really fast. I mean, 2 years seems like a long time of prep, but when it comes down to just getting that text out of nowhere, you're like, oh man, oh, it's go time. This is it. It's happening. It's
Right.
happening. Like that scene from The Office.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but the wild thing is, during COVID, the Florida Keys shut down, like, to visitors.
Mm,
Unless you lived and worked here, you could not get in. The tourist industry shut down. And I work in tourism. I work on a boat down here. So I had
right.
just been laid off. The text comes, and my gut reaction is yes. I don't know how, but yes, we're gonna figure this out. And we did. And when I say we, I mean this community that I live in had watched sort of my journey with these two foxes in Key West. And
Mm,
so, when I announced that now I had the opportunity to take in some of my own that were being rescued from a fur farm, everyone rallied. And this was even before I was a nonprofit, and people were just donating. At one of the worst times, in recent years, COVID lockdown, people believed in me and what I wanted to start doing so much that they donated. And actually, the first two foxes that arrived here in 2020, um, their entire journey from driving to get them to building their enclosure was fully funded, by the Florida Keys community and friends from other parts of the country. So
how
um,
beautiful. That's amazing.
yeah, yeah. And so from there, it just has grown. In 2020, I ended up getting not two, but four foxes that year.
Wow.
And then in
Started off with a
20,
bang.
yeah, just go big or go home, jump in with both feet, at that point. What's
Yeah.
one more? It's like a potato chip. What's one more? Um, and then in 2021, two foxes came. 2022, another fox. 2023, another fox. Last year, I took a year off because one of our females passed away.
Oh, I'm
So,
so sorry.
yeah, I mean, it's sad and it's devastating. And unfortunately, it's just a very real reminder that these animals that are bred and born on these fur farms, they only have one purpose, to these fur farmers. They don't breed them for health. It's all for looks. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, her genetic past just caught up with her quick. She
Yeah.
was rather young. Um, so it was devastating to see, because at the end of the day, they are wild animals. So their instinct is to hide weakness and illness
Mm,
until it's the end. So by the time I knew she
yeah.
didn't feel good, it was it was too late. So
Yeah.
it was a wake up call too. Like, oh man, this could potentially happen, with the other foxes here, because they are
Right.
wild animals at the end of the day. So, but yeah, last year turned out to be, I would say, the most amazing year we've ever had here at Positive Beginnings. So, instead of letting her death sort of cripple me, I used it to, propel me into, you know, doing more, speaking out more, giving back more.
Right.
And yeah, this year, actually, in a few weeks, in 15 days to be exact, we're welcoming another baby fox.
Oh,
So
That's awesome. And you know what?
Yeah.
You gave her the best life that she could have had, like, going out from the fur farms, and at least she was able to have that beautiful
Yeah.
time, being able to be herself, and yeah, with
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah, she was allowed to be exactly who she wanted to be from the first day I met her in 2020 until the last day of her life. She was feisty, she was bold, she made it known that she did not like me, she did not like humans. She just wanted to be herself. And I love that because I let these animals be whoever they want to be here. This isn't a petting
Yeah.
zoo or a roadside zoo. These once these foxes arrive here, there are zero expectations placed
Yeah.
on them, and they just get to fulfill their personalities, and every single one of them is so unique in their personalities. It's like a modern day soap opera, that's for sure.
Yeah, and these foxes, they do, and they're like, their vocalizations and all those things, they
Yes.
really have. I think that's the fun part too about having, like, I mean, at least for me, having pets, but like, you being able to have that closeness with the foxes, being able to just observe them and enjoy their personalities, and letting them have their own personalities aside from the trauma that they have been through.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just, yeah, I can't have a bad day because, they make me laugh every
Yeah.
single day with their ridiculousness. Anyone that follows us knows that our one fox reef is insane and drama filled, and it's hard not to be happy. I mean, for a
Yeah.
multitude of reasons, but seeing these animals just living life how they want. Some days I get a little jealous. I'm like, I just want to scream into the night and have
Yeah.
no consequences for it.
Yeah, right? That's what we all wish for.
Right. Yeah. Like, I just want to scream and not have the cops show up at my door asking what's wrong. Like, that'd be
Oh,
fantastic.
hilarious. Yes. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So, how many foxes do you have under your care right now?
So there's 7 here, and I'm extremely fortunate. Since Libby's passing, Libby was very adamant about no foxes except her best friend Louie, who they arrived together. So
Okay.
when Libby was alive, those two had to be segregated because Libby would have hurt the other foxes, which is not uncommon because females are the dominant ones in the
Mhm.
wild. So, and red foxes have been observed being completely monogamous throughout their
Mhm.
entire lives. So she was just very protective of her space and of her man and
I get it.
nobody else. Yeah.
I get it, Libby.
Yeah. So once she passed away, it also opened up the door for me to connect all of the enclosures here. So now all 7
Oh,
foxes live together, and
oh, that's
there's
so
dra-
nice.
yeah, there's drama. There's constant drama,
Sure.
but it's not violence. you know.
Right.
It's yeah, it's just more like bickering. So yeah, all 7 foxes have run of the full enclosure here now, and it's pretty incredible too to be able to provide them that space here in Key Largo. They probably have more square footage than most renters in the Keys. and, um, so, and considering where they came from, just a 4x4 wire cage on a fur farm somewhere. This is luxury living for a fur farm fox.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I was going to ask you next is I would love to, learn more about the fur farm and how that happens. I know you said that these foxes are like 80 generations or 100 generations removed from wild foxes. So these aren't foxes that for people listening, they can't just be released into the wild. They're
Right.
Yeah, so if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so fur farming first began on Prince Edward Island in Canada in the late 1800s. Uh, at that time, they were capturing wild foxes, and the most sought after color at that time, because it is still one of the rarest colors in the wild, is the silver fox.
Mm.
So it's not really a silver color. It's black, but with little silver flecks all throughout the fur. So at that time, that was the most popular color. But as with any sort of mass breeding operation, the more you breed, the more things go wrong, or, in that industry go right, when other random colors start to pop out. So just like with most species, we have hidden genetic traits.
Hmm.
So even if your parents have, blue and green eyes and you come out with brown eyes, I honestly don't even know how that works, but
Sure.
yeah.
Right.
So eventually, just these random colors would start to pop out, and they exploit that, and then another
Right.
color, and then they exploit that, and then so it just goes on and on. There's probably 70 or so different colors in the captive bred fox world.
Oh, wow.
Um, so that's how it began. So any, fox being born in captivity, either by fur farming or by exotic pet breeder, has fur farm lineage. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, none of these foxes have obviously ever been wild, but nowhere in recent past have any of their ancestors ever been wild. And I'm sure, as most of your listeners know, um, that growing up phase as an animal in the wild, it's typically both parents rearing the babies, teaching them how to hunt, teaching them how to survive, encouraging, sort of infighting, so they know they have to be tough to survive.
Right.
So none of these foxes have ever learned that. Neither have their parents, grandparents, great grandparents. So it's
Right.
um it's not a rehab situation where, even if I got a baby as a baby, it's even in them to learn those things.
Right. That makes
Here in
sense.
Florida, we have lizards, we have all sorts of random weird things in Florida. And, if a
Mm.
lizard goes into their enclosure, sure, they'll chase it, but once they catch it, they spit it out. They're like, ew, I'm not eating that. So, um,
Right.
yeah, it's absolutely 100% devastating, that wild animals need to remain in human care for the rest of their lives. But
Right.
as with most things, when it comes to animals, humans created this problem. And now,
Yes.
humans in the sanctuary world have to take
Fix
care
it.
of the problem. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, but I mean, the alternative is death on a fur farm. So I think living on an island in Key Largo is not that bad.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's nice. At least they have that option. I know it's unfortunate that not all of them have that option. And
Correct.
I was gonna also ask you the reason why now some of these fur farmers, these are kind of animals that these foxes that they didn't want, right, for a particularly reason.
Right.
So they'll just, like, some rescuers are able to get them because they're able to, I don't know, facilitate some sort of a deal where the fur farmers don't want them anymore and then save them that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I know if a friend of mine in Ohio once, wrote mass letters to fur farmers, finding them on websites here and there. And, randomly one day, this farmer called her and said, I'm shutting down. Do you want to come get some? Or, they're just going to be killed.
Right.
Another organization out of Minnesota has good working relationships with fur farmers. Same deal. Call. Hey, do you have any that, are no good to you? Yes. All right. Come get them. So, I mean, there's a sliver of hope that some of these fur farmers, have a conscience. But
Right.
obviously, the hope is one day, hopefully in my lifetime, that fur farming will be a thing of the past here in the United States. A lot of people don't
Yeah.
realize that fur farming still goes on here in the United States. You expect it in other countries like China and Russia and Poland, but people are shocked when they hear that it still is happening in the United States. They don't really keep accurate records on fur farming. The USDA governs fur farms,
Mhm.
but because of backlash, break-ins, you know, liberating these animals from cages, the USDA really stopped publishing the specifics like they do on most other agricultural facilities. Um,
Interesting.
but as of 2022, there were 110 mink farms in the United States. The
Oh, wow.
the Yeah, the specifics on fox and other fur farms isn't really clear. I don't think there's that many, and a lot of times mink farmers will also have fox on property. Um,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
110 is still
A
too
lot.
many. Yeah.
Yeah.
And recently in Ohio, I'm not sure if you saw this, a fur farmer passed away last year, and literally there was no one there to help this man. And I think over 450 animals were just left to fend for themselves, and the county had to come in.
Oh my
And
gosh, no. I don't know if I saw that. Wow.
yeah, you'll have to Google it. It's pretty
I will.
horrendous. And then HSUS really stepped in and took over the whole scene. So roughly 300 animals were able to be pulled off. A lot of them had to be humanely euthanized just because of the conditions. But it was the
Yeah.
first time we got like a really in-depth look at what fur farming is here in the United States. So hopefully, that gives people sort of a wake-up call that it's just
Yeah.
a brutal industry, just brutal, and just for fashion's sake.
Yeah, it's just I think that we've come a long way from like I can people in our ancient past that had no
Right,
other choice.
right.
Sure, that's
Yeah.
that's one thing, right? But I mean, we've come to a point in our society where we really don't need that. If I know some people are against like faux fur looks too. I don't know how you feel about it, but like there's a bunch of faux fur,
Oh,
like if you
yeah.
wanted the look of that without the cruelty aspect as well.
Right. Right. And in these days, fur is just for luxury fashion. It's not for warmth. It's not for
No.
and the people that truly need it, in Alaska or people that truly need it, or they're not relying on a fur farm for their fur. You know.
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So it's just truly unnecessary in this day and age.
Yeah, and to go further into the cruelty aspect of these fur farms, it's like you said earlier, it's not they're not making these animals to be bred to be healthy. So
Correct.
they're crammed into these cages, and I know with a lot of your foxes, right, you see that some of their tails are bitten off and things
Yeah,
like that. There's these
yeah,
other side effects that happen with these small enclosures.
right. Yeah, especially like babies, kits being born on fur farm, obviously for the mother it's a stressful environment, giving
Yeah.
birth in this hellhole. But as with a lot of wild animals, sometimes they kill their young as, preservation, or if they can sense they're sick, or, they'll groom the young, but they'll over groom out of stress and cause open wounds. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's four of the foxes I have are either missing their tail completely or only have half a tail.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, and it's just a direct result of, mom, dad, or both, over grooming or just being so stressed out. That was the option for them.
Yeah, it's so sad. And it's sad that they're stuck in these cages and that they're kind of forced into doing these things to their young because they don't have the adequate space and everything like that. So, what are some of the other things that like you see in your foxes that have kind of been a result of what happened to the trauma of when they were at the fur farms?
So the oldest fox I have, Jasper, he's about 9 or 10 now. I got him in 2020, and when he arrived, he was totally malnourished, completely defeated,
Oh, yeah.
mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. He had an infection so severe in his ear and his throat, my vet didn't even understand how he could have been eating.
Oh,
And he could barely walk. So even though back then in 2020 he was only 4 or 5 years old, you know, being on a fur farm for that long with no exercise, no adequate nutrition, he was just used as a breeder fox year after year after year because of his coat color and his size. He's a big boy. Now that he's healthy, you can see he is a
sure.
big boy. Um so in the beginning, my vet was like, we can give him a couple months to see if his quality of life improves. But if not, you might have to, make the compassionate decision for him.
Of
So
course. Yeah.
I brought him home from the vet, and, Jasper and I had a long talk about life. And I basically said, listen, I'm in it as long as you're in it. If you want to fight, we're going to fight. We're going to figure it out. We're going to onboard whoever we need to get you moving in the right direction. And slowly but surely, he started to come alive. And I found a holistic veterinarian who's still with us today. She is Jasper's personal veterinarian that comes to the house
Oh,
once a month. He gets acupuncture, he gets red laser therapy, he gets a little
amazing.
back massage and a little neck crack once a month. And now he's old. He's still, the arthritis is there. It's chronic arthritis. Um,
Sure.
but he gets up, he moves around, he runs, he'll play with the other foxes, he eats like a champ. Um,
Um,
yeah, he'll just sprawl out and lay on his back all day long. So the turnaround with him was truly remarkable, because
Amazing.
I'm not sure many people expected it, including me, just because I was being realistic at the time. But yeah,
Of course.
he's my glow up boy, and he's the animal I always refer to, when I say survivor, because
Yeah.
not only did he survive, he willingly participated in his recovery, so he wanted life.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's unbelievable. And, because when you heal animals, it takes so much like love and effort and care and time. And what a beautiful thing to be able to see him be, happy and healthy and just living his best life as, and being able to see his personality and everything like that is so beautiful.
oh yeah, he's a character. They all are, but he's definitely a character. He knows how good he looks now.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. He knows how good he looks.
Hi, wild ones. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Find Your Wild podcast. This episode is sponsored by my clothing brand, Femme Sauvage, and you can find a discount code and link in the description. So check it out. We have a lot of amazing designs, and $5 of the proceeds goes to different charities. So please feel free to check it out and enjoy the rest of the episode. Thanks so much. That's
So
beautiful. Yeah. So what are some of the other things that besides like the tails, he had an infection. What are some of the other things you see like when you save some of the foxes from the fur farms?
yeah, so when they arrive here, donated to us, I've never been to a fur farm. I don't think I can handle it. So all the foxes
Fair.
have been donated to us. Another fox I have, Louis, he has that cauliflower ear deformation, that a lot of
Mhm.
boxers get from getting knocked around so much.
Yeah.
Uh, so the vet determined that he likely had hematomas in both of his ears, but because
Yeah.
there's no vet care on a fur farm, he was just left to suffer until they eventually healed on his own, but it caused that deformation. So Louis gets to go to the vet, much to his dismay, 3 times, about 3 or 4 times a year for a sedated, really deep ear cleaning. Obviously, because he doesn't have the cute little upright fox ears, no air
Right.
gets in there, so we just, clean them out real good every couple months, pack them with antibiotics just to ensure, no infection is taking place. He's
Sure.
happy. So that's another
Part of
thing I was,
the,
yeah,
yeah.
it's part of, when you say you're gonna start a sanctuary, or even when you go to the shelter and make a commitment to adopt a dog, like that is a commitment, all of it,
Yeah.
the vet bills, the food, the allergies, the whatever pops up, you're making a commitment to give this animal the best quality of life possible. And that's what I do, because that's what I signed up for. But it also brings great joy being able to do that for them.
Yeah, I can imagine so because, I don't know, there's just a good feeling of being able to do something good for something else, especially, since they were stuck in such a traumatic situation, to be able to get them to a place where they're happy and can have their own personalities and be as healthy as you can possibly make them, is so
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very rewarding for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said before too, these are still wild foxes. Like even though they are 100 generations removed, some of them like people, some of them don't like
Right.
people. They still act like wild foxes, so
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
not
The
great
lot.
pets, right?
No, absolutely not. They do not make good pets. I would say, there might be very few people that are qualified, you know, to take on a fox and call it a pet, which is cringe to me to even call a fox a pet. But it's
Sure.
just
Yeah.
a lot of work, and I think a lot of there are well intentioned people out there who want to maybe give a rescue fox a home, but it's just
Right.
so much research that needs to be done. So like what I did, I spent 2 years volunteering at that facility, making sure this is what I really wanted to do. So,
Right.
my suggestion always is, go volunteer somewhere, make
Oh,
sure
yeah.
this is what you really want to do, because, the foxes aren't sharing their life with you. You are literally sharing your life with them. It is their
Right.
rules all the time. And, my foxes live in outdoor enclosures. They have one room in the house they have access to, but it is completely fox proof, and it has air conditioning because we are in South Florida. So I
Right.
offer that to them. But people that get foxes and think they're going to live in their home are in for a very rude awakening. They
Yeah.
can't be potty trained. You can't just let them out in your front yard and think they're going to come back. They have no recall. They are destructive. They are loud. They are smelly. And they might not like you. that that's a
Right.
lot of people think, oh, if I raise it from a baby it will love me. That's it's not how it works when it comes to wild animals. At
Right.
some point they hit puberty and their entire personality changes from cute and cuddly to wild.
Mm.
So I have a few foxes here that I've raised from baby, and they're like, meh. I mean, they don't avoid me like the plague, but they're not cuddly. If
Right.
you want
They're not dogs. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely not. So it's just, yeah. And then a lot of people get foxes as a baby because they're cute. And again, once they hit puberty, they realize, oh, I've invited a wild animal into my home. I don't want it anymore. but it's not like you can just go drop a fox off at the shelter and say I don't want it anymore. It's a lot more complicated to surrender a fox to a sanctuary. um,
Right.
and most fox sanctuaries in the US right now are at capacity because it's just not as common as farm sanctuaries or horse sanctuaries or even
Right.
big cat sanctuaries. The foxes are very niche. Thankfully, a lot of really great organizations have popped up over the last 5 or 6 years that can take foxes. But again, most are at capacity.
Yeah, it's a lot of, and to give the quality of care to the foxes that you have, like you guys don't want to be overrun either, I'm sure. And
Right.
it's about the space that you're able to provide these animals and the care and especially because I'm sure a lot of them are coming from fur farms or at least the lineage of fur farms. So the quality of life that you have to give them, the health, the care that needs to go into that is something that really needs to be thought into. And
Yeah,
I know I know in the United States too, not every state allows foxes. So like there's
correct.
certain permits you have to go into. Like sometimes it's illegal in the state that maybe you're in. So there's all those legality things too.
Right. Yeah, a lot of states, it's just flat out illegal to have
Yeah,
foxes. And unfortunately, if you get caught or someone turns you in, the only one that's suffering is the animal because they'll confiscate it and euthanize it. So,
right. Yeah.
and
It's
it's just an expense also. It's a big expense to give them a proper life.
great. I mean, it does remind me of wolf dogs too. Like people think that
Yes.
they're like, "Oh, I want a wolf dog," and like that's so cool, but it's not like a dog. They don't act like a dog. They have totally different and like how to get them, comfortable with humans and like kind of habituated, and I forget what the term is, like, when you have like a puppy and you I guess habituated or like you get them used to things. Like it's much harder with wolf dogs, and I'm sure that same process doesn't even happen with foxes in general either.
No, because there's like no domestication at all in
Yeah,
foxes here in the US. And, I don't have any experience with wolf dogs, but a few of my friends do. And, I've learned a lot from them. And I learned that, when a wolf dog is not high content, so when it's like on the lower end of being a wolf and more dog, they can actually be far more like unpredictable and
hmm,
just flat out dangerous because 1 second you have this dog personality, but then that wild just snaps in out of nowhere, and unfortunately bad things can happen.
yeah, and it's unfortunate too. Like I've had one of my other guests, they're associated with the Wolf Connection Sanctuary, the
Oh,
Wolf
okay.
Connection podcast, and that's the same unfortunate issue as a lot of the wolf dog sanctuaries are at capacity too. So
Yeah.
to really take into account, like with foxes, how, like, what's the minimum requirement space that they need to have in order to have like a healthy life?
So the state of Florida, the minimum requirement for one fox is an 8 by 8 by 6 enclosure, which is nothing. um what I have here, what I have all seven, it's hard to do an exact because
Sure.
we've gotten real creative since we are on an island, sort of in a neighborhood, but their front enclosure starts like in our front yard, comes into the screened in porch. There's a bridge that goes over the
Oh,
porch,
cool.
and then it spans the entire length of the back of the house. And then they have the
Wow.
one room inside. So, um, when I got my USDA permit, on the bottom it says what your max capacity could be, and it said 50. And I was like, what?
Wow.
Are you insane? So, state and federal requirements are what they are, but I'm comfortable with what will soon be 8 because I've had 8 here before and it worked good. So
Right.
8 for me is comfortable. It's comfortable for them. I can walk out and not see any of them at first glance because they all have their own spots. They're not crowded
That's
on
good.
top of each other, they're not fighting for space. Sometimes I have to go looking, if I don't count all 7, like in the morning, like I like to do, I'm like, where in the, and they're just in the most, random place, like in a box under a cot bed. But, it's just comfortable for me and comfortable for them that they can space out so much.
Right. Yeah, that's good. And it's interesting that the the maximum is 50, right? But like, yeah, that's crazy actually.
I'm like, there's no way ever, no way
Yeah.
ever. And I never want to get in. I mean, I couldn't here where we are, but I would never want to get into a situation. It's like more land equals more animals. And unfortunately, I've seen so many really great hearted people, not just in exotic rescue, but, other types of rescue, that their heart is so big, they just take on more than they can handle, and then they find themselves in a really unfortunate situation.
Yeah.
Um, so I did make that promise to myself when I started that, you you can't save them all, and that's a hard truth to swallow, but it's reality.
Yeah, to give the best care too to the foxes
Yeah.
that you have is important.
Yeah, I focus on quality of life over quantity saved,
Yeah.
for sure.
And hopefully by the end of our lifetimes the fur farm trade, at least in the United States, can be gone, because like you said, it's not a necessity thing. Like, we don't need the fur to keep warm or something like that. Like, we have all these other options now, that it's really not necessary.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people all of a sudden become eco-conscious when you try to tell them fur is bad. They're like, well, what about all the plastic and faux fur? I'm like, really? How did you totally, stop using plastic in all areas of your life? Or is this the hill you want to die on, comparing animal suffering to plastic straws? Because
Yeah.
2 years ago you didn't care about plastic, but people get just really defended and defensive when you start talking about animal cruelty as it pertains to fur. It's very bizarre. It's like their guilty conscience starts to
Mhm.
kick in, and instead of thinking rationally, they just get so defensive, so defensive, like, you can't take my fur. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's weird. And also, though, like, it could be, maybe, I mean, I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but maybe
Yeah.
it could be a good solution to make, use the plastic to make faux fur. I don't know, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, and that's what's happening, and a lot of companies now have overseas have developed fully biodegradable faux fur. So yeah, the argument is gone. And it's, yeah, just the whole luxury fashion thing that always, you know,
Yeah,
just
it's,
gets me. And there's a lot of money in luxury fashion. One of the richest men in the world owns Louis Vuitton, and they're a huge, I don't know if I'm allowed to name drop fashion designers here, but
yeah, go for it. Yeah.
yeah, he's flat out said that he's never going to stop, using fur, and it's, pays all these big celebrities to wear it, which unfortunately in this day and age of influencers, the younger generation sees a celebrity. I won't name drop them because I might get sued, but um, wearing fur, and they're like, "Oh, I want it." No concept of how it's made, where it came from. It's like, I see it, I want it, and that, I think that's the really unfortunate thing
Yeah.
that's happening.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's, yeah, sorry. You broke up a little bit.
Oh,
It was I
sorry.
think it just caught up.
Okay.
No, 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 no worries. I was just it was like fast forwarding, so I was just trying to listen to what you were saying. But I couldn't agree more, though. I mean, and I think we've come to a time too that I feel like I'm starting to see a shift where like people are actually starting to be much more like eco conscious in like hey, you're purchasing or like where you're purchasing or making sure that it's more eco-friendly. Like I have a clothing brand as well, and I try to do everything like made to order.
Yeah,
And like I've worked with like a couple of like influencers and like sent them stuff, but like they'll ask me like more details, or like if I work with like a charity and like they'll ask me details about like the background of where like my products are coming from. So I
right.
I actually really appreciate that as well, because I
Yeah,
think that it shows people are wanting to do the better thing. And I think that there is a lot more pressure to do the right thing, which I think is a good thing. We don't want cruelty. Like, I mean, at least I don't. I know you don't.
yeah,
I think that, and I think that it also goes against like, sometimes I think spiritually too. It's like we shouldn't want to do this kind of cruelty for ourselves, our souls. Like that shouldn't be out there, like let's make life better for everybody and the creatures that live here too.
right. Yeah, a friend of mine, Joshua Katcher, actually wrote a book called Fashion Animals, and it's
Mhm.
extremely fascinating. It sort of explores uh, the history of the human fascination of wearing animals.
Mm,
Um,
interesting.
and so that sort of falls along the lines with what you've said. It's, as a human that has my own thoughts, why would I want to wear the skin of another animal? It comes like,
Yeah.
be comfortable in your own skin. I'm sure that was like an activist slogan years ago, but there's just
Right.
it's very fascinating, how the human mind works when you start diving into what, some people's obsessions are with fashion.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thought that just came up about like the Vuitton guy that you were saying that he's not going to stop fashion. It's like, okay, maybe you don't want to stop it, but I think that that's the power in the consumer as well, and
Yes,
hopefully this pressure to like maybe you don't want to stop it, but you might not have any people that want to buy it. So like there's a lot of power in not purchasing these products, or
right.
yeah, like what are some other ways like people can make sure they're not contributing to like helping fur farms in any way? Just not by fur.
Obviously not by fur, but no,
Yeah,
and what you were saying, not support the companies that sell fur. Even if you're not buying it, every dollar you spend there contributes to them, going to these auctions and,
right.
buying these furs to turn into whatever. Another thing, I believe there's about to be, or there might have been already, a bill introduced into Congress called the Mink Virus Act. So
Mm.
a bill has been or will be proposed to ban mink farming in the United States, since during COVID, so many mink farms overseas, there were COVID outbreaks because mink
Oh, wow.
are COVID carriers and COVID spreaders. So I think
Interesting.
it's been reintroduced into Congress. So even doing something as simple as writing your legislators saying, "Hey, we don't want this here. We don't, we're beyond fur."
Yeah.
um, legislation is where it's at. At the end of the day, change at that level is absolutely needed to ensure something like this, once it gets banned, it's done
States.
and dead. So
Yeah.
legislation is huge. Um, I'm all for in-person protests outside luxury fashion stores. I've done a few in my day. It's a big rush, but it's also effective. A lot of times these stores just shut down for the day. Um,
Right.
so
Yeah.
we've gotten rid of a day of their sales. I haven't done one in a while, but there's so many passionate, peaceful activists
Sure.
out
Yeah.
there that are boots on the ground every single day protesting these fashion houses that still choose to sell fur, promote fur. confronting celebrities in Hollywood. I have a few friends out there that do that. Like, hey, what are you doing? Like, this, you know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I feel like anything someone feels like they're comfortable doing is better than doing nothing. So whether it's writing
Yeah.
your legislator, you know, boycotting stores that sell fur, even if you're not buying it, and getting out there and holding a sign, whatever, you know, inaction is action. So as long as you're doing something that you're comfortable with, you're helping, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think just, I'm sure making people aware, like I had no idea about minks being providers or carriers of COVID. And minks are even, there's more minks in fur farms than even foxes, right? I think I read that somewhere. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah, because they can cramp quite a few of them into
Wow.
even tinier cages. And, mink are, semi-aquatic animals. They're loners for the most part in the wild. So cramming them together, far
Yeah.
more injury take place on mink farms than on fox farms, like amongst each other, because they keep foxes separate for the most part, unless it's a family in the beginning. So, the mink, it's all cruel, but I would say mink farming is inherently one step crueler just because of
What they are.
the dynamic they're forcing these animals to live in. And mink are straight carnivore.
Mhm.
So they're it's yeah, it's all gruesome. At the end of the day, it is all gruesome,
Of
regardless of
course.
species, because all these different species are, instinctually wild to run, roam, dig, swim, and they're denied all of those privileges being born on a fur farm.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like imagine you spent your life in a cage and weren't able to be free or do any of those things, you know? That's what I
Right,
think, like at least like I would never want that for myself, you know? So,
right.
yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you can have compassion for a dog in a shelter, it's, no different. Or if you can have compassion for puppies on a puppy mill, that is literally no different, except puppies make it out alive,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just cruel, but there's also the chance that they're spreading like diseases, and
Yeah,
clearly that's what's happening, and hopefully that bill gets passed because that's another problem that us humans have made for ourselves, right?
yeah,
Like
yep,
it's
we created the problem, and now we have to find a way to fix it. But until that happens, at the end of the day, it's the animals that still suffer. I think something like 6,000 mink got killed in Denmark at the beginning of COVID because
wow.
it started spreading. There was a gruesome image of them just wheeling in these awful like gas chambers where they were just throwing them in, gassing them, and then just digging a huge trench to throw them in. It's like, yeah, you
That's
know,
so sad. Like what a waste of like life, and
yeah,
foxes, minks, they all have their, I know these specific ones probably wouldn't be able to be released into the wild, but if we could just stop doing that and
yeah,
just allow them to be, the ones to be wilds and realize their purpose in maintaining the environment and what
right,
they're actually meant for, not for us to just
right,
wear.
right, yeah. Why? I
Yeah.
don't know. It's the way people exploit not just animals, but we can find a way to exploit anything. I feel
Mhm.
as humans.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but hopefully people like you and me, we can, show people that there's some good to, taking care of animals and
Yeah,
doing those
yeah.
things
I
too.
mean, sanctuaries are awesome. There's so many amazing sanctuaries out there doing the most amazing things. For animals that sometimes should have never gotten a chance because of where they were before. So sanctuaries are incredible. I wish we didn't need them, but
Of course. Yeah.
we do, and So, that's another plea, sanctuaries need support too. A lot of sanctuaries started to suffer during COVID and in, recent years, months with what's been going on.
I know.
Um,
Oh yeah. So how can people help your charity, or like what can they do to help if they wanted to?
So obviously, we are a registered 501c3 public charity through the IRS. So we're legit on the books. You can see our tax records. So monetary donations are always amazing. I realize not everyone is in a position to do that. So even simple things like following us on social media, the old like, share, comment, just to boost visibility, or the Foxes have an Amazon wish list. So a lot of times people feel really good when they can go on and pick something out just for the Foxes and it gets sent to them. So there's definitely a variety of ways that people can support us if they feel compelled to.
That's wonderful. And just to let people know, I'll link it below, but just so people listening can hear where they can follow you and find you.
So the easiest thing to do is go to our website, which is positivebeginnings.org, but it's
So
PAWSITIVE
cute.
beginnings.org. And then, in the footer of our website are links to like social media stuff on the website. There's links to the Amazon wish list. There's links. You can actually book a private sanctuary tour. I do that once a week on most Saturdays. So people can come and get education about the foxes and the fur trade. No contact with the fox is guaranteed since this is their home and you're a guest. But
Right.
I did start offering that because a lot of people became far more interested in learning more. So that's something I started at the end of last year.
That's awesome. Wonderful. And I'll make sure to link that below so it's easy for people to click and to check out your page as well. So,
All right.
thank you so much, Nicole,
Thank
for
you.
coming on and sharing all this information. And I really learned a lot from you. And hopefully, something in the future can change in regards to those fur farms and ending that type of cruelty. But again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Wild Ones, for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Revel in the moment like a river flowing to the sea. I feel the energy of life force flowing all through me, and I'll allow it all to dance with my body and play. And no one could ever convince me to give my power away.